Om. Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jalakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahmavidvaram. Hari Om everyone, and welcome to our session of Booklight. There are so many of us, there are new faces here tonight. So I'm glad to see that people have gotten the invitation to join during this time. We started off as a chick-centered group. So we will talk a little bit more about how that will unfold after Swamiji's discourse. For what we've covered so far, we are taking the text, We Must, and every 2 chapters is taken by a different Sevak or Swamiji of the mission. So without any further ado, I'll hand it off to our team to help introduce Swamiji for this evening. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Although many of us are familiar with Swamiji, I would like to say a few words to humbly introduce Swami Shivatmananda ji. Swami Shivatmananda ji is the resident Swamiji at Chinmaya Mission Austin. In 2002, Swamiji left his job as an environmental chemist and electrical engineer for Sandipani Sadhanalaya in Mumbai and joined the 12th Brahmachari batch, where he studied under the presence and guidance of Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomayananda ji and Swami Ishwarananda ji. I had the pleasure of interacting with Swamiji when he visited our YEP batch to lecture on Upadesha Sara. His elegant teaching style and calm yet clear voice captivated all of us, which is no small feat considering lectures were at 6 a.m. Swamiji's friendly personality and welcoming smile makes him easily approachable for students of all ages with questions on anything from Vedanta to college life. In addition to his vast knowledge of the Shastras, Swami Shivatmananda ji is also an incredible cook. We look forward to experiencing an amazing Booklight session today, and we're all very thankful for Swamiji's presence and guidance. Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Thank you, Ananta. Hari Om. Wow, so many people over here today. I have chapters 9 and 10 dedicated to me. So the satsang today is based upon chapters 9 and 10. Samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam namami chinmayam devam sadgurum brahmavidvaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. This is a beautiful textbook. It is such a source of inspiration. Pujya Gurudev's words, as I read this text, as I'm reading these pages, I can literally hear Gurudev's throbbing voice speaking through the pages and coming out between the 2 lines. He speaks with great clarity and so much love for humanity. He wants each and every single one of us to reach this laudable goal of human birth. Chapter 9 is a beautiful chapter, beautiful chapter on the subject matter is the mind. I have taken so many notes over here. So I will do as much as I can. It is a loaded chapter with so much information. To start out, if you have Pujya Gurudev's daily calendar of 30 days, on the day of the 12th of the month, it says, man is essentially the thoughts that he entertains. And this is exactly what this chapter is all about. This chapter is none other than man and thoughts, man and mind and thoughts. So I'll start summarizing. If positive thoughts are cultivated, we cultivate a positive destiny in our life. Gurudev is a firm believer that we are the authors of our destiny. Nowhere over here he talks about prarabdha. He talks about how everything lies in our own hands in cultivating our life. The positive thoughts are cultivated, and that positive thought which is cultivated in the fertile field of our own mind becomes the source from where our destiny springs forth from. It is the ideals, our desires, our wants, our ideas, our needs. They are all our thoughts. So thoughts are non-different from our own desires, our own ideals, the ideas that we seek. So all that is one. To cultivate richness of thoughts is the invocation of the efficiency, the dynamic life that we all have to cultivate in living. Gurudev is a proponent of utilizing this life for the best, utilizing every waking moment of our life to serve mankind. He is not of the opinion of retiring into the forest, into the Himalayas and finding a cave and quietly studying scriptures. To study scriptures, to uplift ourselves and to utilize this beautiful life which has been given to us is what Pujya Gurudev wants each and every single one of us to look forward to. If we get education, we do acquire competency in our life, but that does not yield efficiency in living. Efficiency in living is something much different from that. Learning from others, acquiring great skills and dexterity, all can bring us efficiency in living. But for competency, what is required is efficiency is our capacity to pour out our competency in the field of action. So how are we going to utilize what we have acquired? That is what Gurudev is referring to over here as competency. It is the application of what we know. How are we going to put to use, how are we going to apply ourselves with whatever little that we have acquired? And we can make that little that we have acquired large when we incubate our ideas more and more upon what we have acquired. So intelligent preparedness is called competency, how intelligently we prepare ourselves to live. But this intelligent cultivation of, preparedness, ready to live our life, it has to irrigate every single corner of our life. And that can only happen through the channel, the medium of mind. Without mind, we cannot put our knowledge to use. We cannot put our competency into use. So without mind, we cannot apply this in our life. Therefore, mental discipline is the key, because the mind has to work with us. The mind has to work hand in hand with us to make sure that when we dedicate ourselves to an altar in living, we are able to reach the desired goals of our life. So I have listed out various ways in which we can discipline our mind, we can uplift our mind, we can utilize our mind, because that is what I saw was the main core of this chapter. So how do we discipline our mind? So I have written down so many different techniques, so many different ways in which we can work with our minds. Each one of us has such a unique mind. We have to engage in a dialogue with ourselves. We have to engage in a very rich, cordial communication with our mind to uplift our mind. Bhagavan Krishna also says in the 6th chapter that we have to uplift ourselves by ourselves. So how do we do that? So the first one is substitute positive thoughts. Whenever we find ourselves spinning out in a negative thought pattern, we owe it to ourselves to uplift ourselves. So find a way to substitute. Whenever you detect a negative thought, remind yourself, look at Gurudev's picture, look at your own Ishta Devata and say, no, not over here. This mind is a divine royal seat for goodness, and I'm not going to entertain that. Another way to keep this mind healthy is we have to physically keep ourselves healthy. If we are sitting idly all day long, our physical body goes into tamas. And when the physical body goes into tamas, it is but natural for mind to go into tamoguna as well. So utilize this body, be active, make sure that the body is not resorted to tamoguna. Then surround yourself. The third point that I have is surround yourselves with right-minded friends. Make sure that the company that you keep is a good company, a company which elevates ourselves, a company which is capable of contributing to positive thoughts in our life. The next one is notice if there is a pessimist around, if there is negativity, notice it and nip it out in the bud right there and there. If it is a co-worker or is someone who is difficult to circumvent, then mentally make a note of it that I'm not going to allow this to influence my thought pattern. Be vigilant as to where you are in your own platform in life. So we have to be alert about it. Quiet, alert, vigilant is what Gurudev talks about. Then very important, we have to be punctual in whatever we do. If we give an appointment to someone, we owe it to themselves, we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to them that we value people's time. When we are punctual, what happens is internally our mind becomes alert and our mind learns to value the value of time. And it will learn to utilize time properly. It is extremely important that we become punctual in our habits. Number 6 I have over here is every day, daily read something which is positive, something which is uplifting. Always surround yourself with positive and uplifting thoughts. So every day, make sure that you read something which is uplifting. Number 7 I have over here is reduce your time with social media. Try to be vigilant. Utilize. I'm not saying that you should completely give it up, but make sure you give certain amount of time to it. And once that time is over, that's it. It may be TV, it may be YouTube, it may be Twitter, it may be WhatsApp, so many ways our precious time is drained out of living. So these are the ways we can discipline our mind. Make sure that we are mindful about the energy which is drained in our life. Another important thing which I have discovered is make sure that you give less time to daily routine in living. You know, we have to brush our teeth, we have to take shower, we have to clean ourselves, we have to clean our room. Make your routine simple. People take, you know, long Turkish showers. There's no need for that. You know, this body has been given to us as an instrument. Sharira kalu dharma matra sadhanam. And if it is to be utilized for dharma, why pamper it so much? So make sure you spend less time in all the daily routine which is required. Do it, but make sure you're mindful of it. You don't get carried away with it. The body has to be kept neat and clean. Do that, but don't get carried away with it. The next one that I have is during your commute time. Right now, we are all staying at home in these last few weeks, and for upcoming few weeks, there's no more travel, just all staying home. But when we are traveling, when we are using public transportation, all these things, we can utilize that time wisely. A lot of people learn languages. A lot of people listen to some chants. We can quietly do some mantra japa. Instead of listening to the radio, instead of talking to someone, instead of texting all the time, we can utilize all this time appropriately to discipline the mind, to keep the mind upbeat. So a lot of people learn chanting. I know somebody who had about 1 hour commute in Bay Area, and they learned so much Sanskritam, so much so that they became a teacher for Sanskrit Bharati, a Sanskrit teacher. So we can do that. Precious time is at our hand, and we can definitely utilize that. Number 10 that I have to discipline our mind is daily we must engage in prayers. Very important. Very important that we set some time aside for prayers. Another one is chanting. I have seen this last year, we started this project of teaching kids Bhagavad Gita. They have to memorize it, all 18 chapters. Last year, we had about 58 kids who started, and about 21 finished learning all 18 chapters, and they committed to memory. This year, we have approximately 60, 70 kids trying out for it. So this mind has a tremendous capacity to hold so much information, and we owe it to ourselves to fill this mind with divine thoughts, with divine ideas. And especially Gurudev used to encourage children learning Bhagavad Gita, and not just children, adults alike. As much as we can memorize, we should try to do that. All the stotrams of Shankaracharya ji, we can daily, chant whatever speaks to us, and then commit them to memory. So that disciplines our mind. Lighting a lamp every day, that is also very important. It is said that wherever a lamp is lit for about 12 years, definitely Sthita Prajna enters your life to give you a royal light of wisdom. This is said in Manusmriti. So every day when it may be a tiny little, a ghee lamp, an oil lamp, whatever it is, but light it in front of Bhagwan, offer your salutations. It helps. Japa. Japa is very important practice. Yajnanam japa yajñosmi, Bhagavan Krishna says, of all practices, all yajnas rendered in this world, japa yajna is considered to be very important. It is very important to do our nitya naimittika karma. Bhagavan Krishna also talks about this in chapters 3, 4, and 5. Very important that routine like Sandhya Vandanam. How many of us would like to wake up in the morning, sit and do Sandhya Vandanam and chant Gayatri? We would rather watch Scooby-Doo. So over here, the reason why Nitya Naimittika karmas are given to us is because it is to discipline our mind. the Gayatri mantra, the entire Sandhya Vandanam ritual, the whole ritual is designed only to tame this animal of our mind. Self-study and reflection, we must get into the study groups, scripture, self-study, whatever we can do. Always, always, always keep on learning, and especially the divine scriptures which rishis have left for us, that definitely should be utilized. In fact, that is one of the karmas that we have to fulfill in our life by studying that. So in this way, I have enumerated at least what I could ponder upon, various ways. These are a lot of these practices I myself practice, and thus I was able to make a note of these when Puja Gurudev in 2 paragraphs, he talks about, uplifting the mind and taming this mind. Continuing, when these thoughts, when they become divergent, when we engage in these spiritual practices, it allows us to bring our thoughts back into the flow that we want them in. So therefore, when these practices become our second nature, we naturally change the course of direction of our mind. And when the course of direction of our mind changes, our thought pattern changes. When our thought pattern changes, our actions change. When our actions change, our own destinies anew standing in front of us. And this is how we contribute ourselves into living positively in this world and contributing more than what we consume in this world. It gathers a new glow. Naturally, the person will exude positive energy just by having this mind under control. We become beacons of light. Wherever we go, we carry this light, this positive energy, and this energy is able to be a beacon of light for others. So this is why Gurudev is saying that this is very important that we cultivate this, cultivate the discipline of our mind. It allows us to make sure that our action, when it is released in this world with a positive mind, with a trained mind, with an empowered mind, our actions bear the insignia of divinity which is within. So the competency at work that Gurudev is talking about, the competency only comes when we become internally alert. I've seen so many people who are so brilliant in their work. They really know their work inside out, but they cannot hold jobs. They just don't have the social skills to market themselves. And we have to be very observant. Only when we have trained ourselves, we know the culture of how to engage in a conversation, how to carry on this conversation further. How do I present myself? So many people, they don't even take care of themselves properly. When we have a decent job and when we are going out to work, we need to put ourselves together. A hair which is not combed, mouth having a terrible stink, and I'm not making these up. I've seen things. We cannot even sell ourselves. How can we make a difference in the world of action? There are people who are intelligent, but they just have not picked up all these skills in living. And this comes from intelligently applying ourselves and observing. Gurudev was an excellent observer. His clothes immaculate, his presence immaculate. Take any picture of Gurudev which is out there. You will never see him slouching or in any other shape. Perfect posture, perfect clothes. Wherever he is, whether it be at a bhiksha, sitting in a chair, everywhere, traveling in the plane, traveling in the train, traveling in the car, we have to be mindful of where we are. And only when we are mindful of our own position and place in time, we are able to render more seva, render more service to the world around us. Because effortlessly, it will flow through us. So we grow in our stature. Slowly, 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 when the mind becomes quiet, what is the next thing that evolves out of a quiet mind? It is inner silence. And that inner silence, all the noise which is eradicated from the very caves and crevices, the canyons of the mind, and when it becomes silent, the silence of the truth can reverberate. And every single action will be as though anointed by the presence of awareness, presence of truth. This is how we become dynamic in living. We invoke the very power of silence. And Gurudev talks about the power of, he talks about electricity is silent, heat is silent, flood is silent, earthquake is silent. But what these things are capable of doing is they create, their power is quite noisy and terrific. But when the silence of the truth, which is the very bedrock of the mind that we have, when this silence itself reverberates and fills every single crevice and canyons of our own mind, there is a power that is unleashed via our actions. And these are, even if it may be an ordinary action, handing over an olive branch to help someone, even in there will be the nobility and the goodness which will be recognized by the other person, just because the bearer of the silence has a power to silence the noisy mind on the opposite side. That is why Gurudev was capable of silencing 1 lakh people, all gathered for a yajna, a pin drop silence, because he dwelled in silence. And that silence was capable of making sure that lakhs of people became silent and just gave their undividing attention and ear to him in these discourses. So in this way, we can become silent. This is how silence flows from inside out. And that person who bears the silence in their life, all their actions will be nothing but the reflection of this truth. So as devotees of truth, when we work in the society, let us make a use of this silent might in all that we do. In chapter 10, Puja Gurudev talks very beautifully about ritualism is a devotee's love play with the idol of Lord. So to tame this mind, how do we tame this mind? So the sadhak is taken, and the power of the sadhak is the relationship that he or she cultivates with Bhagavan. And in cultivating that relationship with Bhagavan, it is actually not for the sake of Bhagavan, but it is for the sake of the mind which needs to be tamed. And in this way, bhavana is brought about. So bhavana is yet another way to tame this mind and to take this mind on this lofty ride of living a life full of dynamic living. Then if we engage in these rituals, and if we engage in these spiritual practices, and these spiritual practices do bear the result of joy, happiness, and silence, but if they don't, and if we prematurely reject it, then we are at loss. That's all Gurudev says. that we need to try harder. These words of rishis, these words of masters, they cannot be a bluff. These rishis have left the wealth of this knowledge only for us to benefit. There was no ulterior motives for the Shastra except to instruct the ones who want to become dynamic in living. So Gurudev also further talks about, if one wants to enjoy just a half an hour of meditation, 23 and a half hours of life, 23 and a half hours of our day has to be lived vigilantly. And that can only be done provided we discipline this mind. Early on in our spiritual practice, it's very difficult. It's not that easy. It is not easy at all. It is easier said than done. But when we practice time and again, when we pick up this mind from where it falls down, where it errs, and we learn to pick it up and say, it's okay, but I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again. Just few of these practices that I have enumerated, we start with any one of these few practices. It may be japa, it may be staying in silence, it may be giving up our phones or whatnot, just to work with ourselves, whatever works with us. We all know what our negative points are. And when we are objective with ourselves and when we work with ourselves, we see the results taking us on a higher ground. So in that way, 23 and a half hours of our daily living, it becomes noble. So he talks about live honorably, act straightforwardly without compromise of any noble ideals. Make sure you adhere to values in living, live in self-respect, be well guarded about your own personal dignity and treat yourself properly. Be optimistic, be cheerful, be heroic. And in this way, when we cultivate these simple values of our mind, we have actually harnessed a great power that exists in this universe. And that great power is the sankalpa of this mind to do anything. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman. You know, all Bhagavan Krishna says, every single thing rises from sankalpa. And a sankalpa of a man of wisdom, a sankalpa of a quiet mind, what to speak of it? What to speak of a sankalpa of silence? It can move mountains. So in this way, this is what I saw in chapters 9 and 10. Questions?
Thank you, Swamiji. We have our first question of the evening.
Okay.
To everyone there, if you have a question, please go ahead and message Shubhani Chaitanya and I will unmute you. So our first question is from Dr. Krishna Taneja. Please go ahead and ask your question. I've unmuted you.
Swamiji discussed about gaining the competency and knowledge to gain efficiency. However, there's a situation that I'm facing and I find it conflicting. So I'm a physician from outside of the USA, and I currently cannot practice here until I complete or at least start my residency or specialization. In the current crisis, I feel very helpless in helping or doing anything, any kind of volunteering, despite having the competency and knowledge. And it's all because of external factors not in my control. So in such a situation, what can we do, both externally and to help others and to help ourselves with the frustrations and anxiety and stress that I face for not being able to do anything despite having the knowledge and competency?
Very, very beautiful question. So in this situation, mother creation, we may call it destiny, we may call it so many different things. It is just teaching us to be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient. Sometimes we have the ability to do so many things, but we are not capable of doing it for so many other reasons. So patience is a great virtue. And when we are patient, we learn from the silence which is born out of patience. Right now, the government has asked us, stay put, stay inside. You cannot go out. You are a physician, but even though you have skills to help out, but you don't have a license for you to practice it. So the best thing to do is to follow the instructions of what the community leaders are telling us. Internally, this is externally. Internally, now that we have this time at hand, how do I uplift myself rather than allowing these thoughts to make me, a pessimist and become frustrated and whatnot? We must learn to elevate ourselves. You've been privileged this knowledge of medicine. Be grateful about it. Oh Lord, I'm so grateful that I at least know what's going on in this world and I know what people are going through. So here is my sincere prayer. Since I cannot offer my knowledge, I'm offering my prayers, oh Lord. This is how we grow.
Thank you, Swami.
Hari Om. Shubhani ji?
Yes, Swamiji, I'm waiting for the next question. If anyone has any other questions, please go ahead and send them to me. If no one has any question as yet, Swamiji, I have a question. So many people are facing challenges in this social isolation mode, and dealing with their own minds and even facing their families and relatives and siblings. How does Swamiji advise us to cope up with these situations?
Yes, it is difficult. On one hand, we are given so much time to be with our families, but then there comes a point in time there is too much time. Kids are saying, Swamiji, I'm frustrated with my brother. I'm frustrated with my sister. She's taking up so much time in the bathroom. This, that. Balvihar kids do tell me all these things, so I can understand that. Again, this is where, see, here's an opportunity for us to grow. If somebody is not being mindful of bathroom, if somebody is not being mindful of listening to music, if somebody is not being mindful of a conversation or whatever is going or transpiring around us, all we can do is we can work with ourselves. It's difficult to advise a Bal Vihar child that, because they are in process of learning about life. So for them to understand these fine nuances of control of mind, it is very difficult. But for us, the Chik group over here, this is an excellent opportunity for us to what should I say? Our sharper edges are continuously out there. This is a best way to blunt all our sharper edges in our understanding. In our understanding, if we put this knowledge to use, that, I'll be silent, I'll be quiet, I will work with myself, I will read. And once I'm done reading, I will move on to a different activity. Okay, I will catch up on some games I have not played. I'll catch up on talking to a friend that I have not talked to. So many things we can do to fill up our time. I know I have been quarantined for 14 days and I'm thoroughly enjoying my time. But for others, I can understand if we have not really learned to utilize our time properly, and if we are continuously bahirmukh, it is very difficult to go antarmukh. You know, to go inside, it is very difficult if we are continuously bombarded by external stimuli. So for those people who are bombarded by external stimuli, and for them it is, for those people who are finding it difficult, the best way is to start a likhita japa. Write down what bothers you. Why does it bother you? Start creating a journal which will give you an insight to your own mind. Why is my brother's behavior bothering me? If we go inquire into it, the problem is not my brother. The problem is me. Eventually, we find that out. But we attribute the problem to a sibling, you know, a parent, a grandparent, and so on and so forth. So start journaling what is bothering. And this will bring our mind to our surface. I see some more questions.
Swamiji, so the next question, the person had asked me to ask on her behalf, how to cope with the loss of a parent at this time?
Yes, I know a lot of people I know some people who have been affected by this virus. And when we lose someone, it is indeed very difficult. And there are no words in any language that will comfort us. The only thing that can comfort us in these difficult times, when we lose someone, especially a parent, when we lose someone, especially a parent, is knowledge. And the knowledge and the understanding that their time is over, what to do. The soul has to move on. And this soul, which was brought over here because of them, we have to be grateful that I am a product of their hard work. They have poured their lives' energy in creating me, in nurturing me, in raising me, and I'm grateful for that. But each one of us one day will have to face one of these difficult days when we are saying goodbye to our near and dear loved ones. The whole Bhagavad Gita is born out of that. Anxiety to lose someone. Why do I have to engage in actions which is going to create that? So when we lose someone, we have to understand that this life which has been given to us, it has a start date and an end date. And because it is bound by time, all of us are bound by time, we are eventually going to have to move out. And only knowledge can help. There are no better ways. And everybody has different way of grieving. Grief is such a personal thing. Some people bounce back in no time. Some people, even decades go by and they have not been able to reconcile what has happened. So during the time of loss, best if we go spend some time in a temple with scriptures. And if temple and scriptures are not available, talk to a friend. If friend is not available, and if we are having difficulty coping with it, it's okay to get help. Get help. There are so many people out there, professionals willing to help us guide in difficult situations in our life.
Thank you, Swamiji. The next question, I'm coming to Peter. So Peter, I'll go ahead and unmute you. Please ask your question.
I'm actually Renu using Peter's computer.
Okay, Renu using Peter.
Swamiji, this is a terrible time on the planet. People are suffering, but I am not. My loved ones, my near and dear, are safe at home with me, and we are so privileged. How do I conscionably live my privileged life at a time like this?
Prayer, gratitude. Prayer, gratitude, that's it. We don't know what karmas have brought upon this life to us. And we don't know what karmas have brought upon other lives. But the very fact that I'm taken care of, oh Lord, it is your grace. It is your blessings. And I thank you for giving me such a wonderful life. And oh Lord, please take care of others as well. Just like how you have taken care of me. The ones who are losing, give them the strength to face situations in their life. That's why our prayers are so noble. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhave. So we shouldn't be guilty about having a privilege, but what we should do is turn that privilege around as a prayer, as an offering. Gratitude is a great, great, great way to reconcile our karmic debt. It allows us to put a closure to so many events which are happening, events which have happened, and events which are about to happen if we are just grateful for it. That's all. So prayer goes a long way. Hari Om.
Swamiji, a question on our chat is, students in our Balvihar class ask, if there is a God, why are so many innocent people dying of this virus?
If there is a God, why are there so many people dying, innocent people dying of this virus? We do have one absolute God. And that God is all compassionate, all merciful. We have all arrived on this planet to learn. And some of us, learning comes very easy. And to some of us, learning is a little bit challenging. Some kids are really good in math. Some kids are good in music. Some kids are good in sports. And each one of us are good in something. So many people over here are not doing well. Each one of us who have arrived over here, we are learning various lessons. So if we are going through these difficult times, there is a lesson to be learned. Maybe I need to be more respectful of what people tell me. I went somewhere where I wasn't supposed to go. There can be so many different reasons. There are some innocent people who have just gotten it and they are going through this for whatever reasons which our minds cannot fathom. But rest assured that even though people going through difficult situations in life, it is not that Bhagwan is punishing them, but through these situations, we are becoming stronger at living life and making our relationship stronger with the higher source.
Thank you, Swamiji. The next question is from Melvin. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Melvin, please ask your question.
Hari Om Swamiji. I'm going to ask a question about Prarabdha Karma and read a very short passage from Ramana. This is not an intellectual question. It's a very important question to me because during this COVID period, I've tried to live my life by this. And Ramana says, the creator remaining everywhere makes each play his or her role in accordance to their karma. That which is not destined to happen will not happen despite every effort. That which is destined is bound to happen. This is certain. Therefore, the best course is to remain silent. So in terms of Prarabdha Karma, like I've been trying to reconcile this whole period of my own life with Prarabdha Karma, but you started by saying that Gurudev kind of rejects the idea of Prarabdha Karma. So maybe I misunderstood that, or are the two positions reconcilable? Thank you.
The two positions are indeed reconcilable, but they are only reconcilable in a higher understanding of knowledge. When somebody is a neophyte in spirituality, importance of effort has to be ascertained. This is one of the most preliminary textbooks to take a sadhak on the journey of sadhana and eventually taking the mind to the elevated state all the way up to self-realization. So when the mind is in its lower state of evolution, the mind necessarily has to be cleansed. And to clean the mind, karma is required. And to do karma, one has to be inspired to do karma. So thus, Gurudev over here talks about the importance of proper thought pattern to improve karma. And once the thought pattern is improved, and when karmas automatically become good, when it becomes a second nature of a person to just be good and do good, at that point in time, actions cannot deliver more than what it has delivered. It has already delivered a nobility in living. For such a person, now they are going to have to go higher into the spiritual realm of evolution. So for them, for those people who find themselves highly evolved and actions which are becoming fewer but nobler actions, for such people, they start thinking about what is this world? What is the origin of it? How has it come about? And in answering all these Upanishadic questions, that's when the mind starts to understand exactly what Ramana Maharshi Ji has said. He comes from a higher standpoint of self-realization. It's as though as God speaking. He himself as Arunachala has ordained this universe, and with the conviction of his heart and voice, he speaks that what Arunachala ordains happens, and if he doesn't ordain, try whoever may, it is not going to happen. That is not an ordinary mind speaking. That is the Lord of the universe speaking. And only he can create such a majestic Maya where within few weeks, the whole planet becomes immobile. This just shows the power of what Mother Nature is capable of doing. We call her Prakriti, we call her Pradhan, we call her Maya. And from the standpoint of Mandukya Upanishad, we even reject her. Na kaschit jayate jivaha, from a standpoint of Mandukya Upanishad. But when we are in the midst of it and when we are quarantined, we cannot at that point say na kaschit jayate jivaha. All the problems are there of the jiva in the quarantine. So yes, I did say Gurudev starts over here absolutely without discussing prarabdha, because he's inspiring somebody to live a laudable life. What inspiration does Ramana need for meditation? He is meditation. He requires no inspiration, but we require inspiration. So it is for us. Okay?
Thank you, Swamiji. There are more questions, but I think we are out of time.
Oh, wow.
So we will get those questions to Swamiji. There's maybe 4 or 5 questions left. So we will get those questions to Swamiji somehow. I'll now pass it on to Amarji to make a few announcements.
Hari Om, Amar.
There we go. Okay, I was muted.
Okay.
Hari Om, Swamiji, thank you so
Hari Om.
much.
Hari Om.
So good to see Swamiji.
Likewise.
A couple of announcements. One, as we've had now a flood of new participants, 228 are online right now.
Wow.
Obviously, there is going to be a slight change in the way in which we'll carry out our sessions. So for everyone who is of the chick age group, all right, meaning not yet having kids as such, etc. For all of you, we will be having our discussion section next week at this time, not the week after. We've been switching off every other session with different strategies. We'll have sessions every single week now. So next session of Booklight will be a discussion section only for the chick age group. All right? No offense to our elders. We want you all to join. So the second half, which is our next Swamiji who will be coming, will be Swami Mitranandaji. You all are invited back. So every other week, we'll have satsang with Swamiji. And then based off of today's satsang, we'll have a discussion section geared essentially for our chick group. All right? That's the format from here on out. Next, I will just post, I've already said, but you should be able to see. Can everyone see now my screen? There we go. This is with Swami Mitranandaji. Swamiji is very near and dear to Shubhaniji and myself. Fantastic, dynamic individual, and he'll be taking We Must chapters 11 and 12. All right? So you please tune back in. Everyone is invited to our next session with Swami Mitranandaji, April 13th. And you don't understand how unbelievably lucky we are to be able to get Swamiji's presence, right? Swamiji is always in demand. Lastly, I'll show us the upcoming Swamijis that we have. And we have so many from all over the world. Swami Shivatmananda was just today. Next, we have Swami Mitranandaji, Swami Prakashanandaji from Trinidad and Tobago, Swami Supriyanandaji from the other side of the globe, Swami Anukulanandaji, Swami Dhiranandaji, and then Swami Sarveshanandaji again. So really, we have an all-star lineup of Swamijis. Don't go anywhere. Tune in every week. So it'll be every other week that we'll have our Swamijis coming in, taking We Must, continuing this same satsang. The very last announcement that we have will be from Shubhaniji. And Shubhaniji, I think, wants to talk about the next event happening following Tuesday, correct?
Yes. So can you all see my screen? Yes. So we are having an e-Hanuman Chalisathon. So I know how all of us centers like to chant 108 Hanuman Chalisas on Hanuman Jayanti. And this will be on April 7. Thank you, Swamiji, for correcting us. April 7. And it will be from 12 to 8 p.m. And we will have a very special guest joining us in the beginning. And it will be via Zoom. So we will send you this information, and we would love for everyone to be part of it. And each brahmachari or sevak is going to lead 1 hour of chanting with many of our talented chicks and CSKs. So please, you know, those who take that day to worship Hanumanji, please take some time out and do join us. It will be a real treat for everyone. And we'll send information to all of you. If you're not already on our list, please do register and get on our list so that we can give you the information.
To sign up, I'm still on mute, correct?
We can hear you.
Yes. To sign up, and so that way you stay updated, even if not part of the Chick group, you can go to CHYKWest.com and register there. So that way we at least have your information, and then we can send you nice updates, nice reminders. Also in that same line, we have also a very, very nice texting app that we've developed. So if you text at Booklight to 81010, just type in the number 81010, and then you text it at Booklight, it will give you updates. It will give you also small reminders for each session. Now, of course, don't worry, we're not going anywhere else with this information. This is purely for us, just to give a light, friendly reminder. So if you want to take a minute, take out your smartphone. Only time during lecture you can do this, all right? Take out your smartphone and just text at Booklight to 81010. And this way you'll get a reminder twice before each satsang. So that way you can always remember to tune in. All right. Anything else, Shubhani-ji? If not, we'll close. All right. Hariyam, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much again to Swami-ji for hosting our session. It was a pleasure.
Hariyam.
Hariyam.
Thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.